So in the first week of his presidency, he basically calls General Assembly. So all the ministers enter, they're all welcome. And Saddam comes and they are not informed as to why he called them. He also has a television cameras rolling. He wants this to be recorded and televised. And so he attends and they all stand up in honor of him, the new president. Everyone claps for him. He gives a bit of a speech. And then he begins to tell people that he has a special, basically, declaration. Something's about to come up. And one of the ministers is sent forward and he's given a letter. And on this letter there is a list of names which are to be disclosed as people who are collaborating to bring down Saddam's government. He's only been in power for 1 week, keep that in mind. So he already has a name of all these conspirators, and he elects this one man to read the names of all the other conspirators who were in the conspiracy with him. Now it's a very cruel psychological ordeal to be put in, because now they're trapped. So they enter this ballroom or this theater, none the wiser, and suddenly they're being told from the minbar that we have identified 66 conspirators sitting here today, and the names are going to be exposed right now by one of your very own people, conspirators. So this man is led up to the podium. He gets the letter, and he has to read the names. But before he reads the names, he has to read the script, wherein he admits to being a conspirator and also working with others to bring down Saddam and his government. And he calls the others mujrim, criminals, conspirators. So he's making it very known that, guys, wherever you are in the theater, the jig is up. Yeah, it's too late. You can't run anywhere. He knows.
مثل ما حكيت لنا بالخير. نعم. كان مرتبط بالبداية المجرم محمد عايش بغانم عبد الجليل. ثم صعد كما أخبرني محمد عايش، صعد في نهاية 75 إلى قيادة التشكيل السري. نعم. 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 ففي نهاية 75 صعد إلى قيادة هذا التشكيل السري.
So he begins to read the names and to confess. Now before he's actually he's brought up, he's been severely tortured. Saddam orders for his torture, and he's threatened. He is told that if you do not comply, your family will be raped in front of you. You will be killed, and he's tortured. So he accepts. They dress him up, present him on the day, and he begins to read. His name is 𝗾𝙗𝗎𝗓𝙗. So he begins to read the letter, and he's looking at the audience. And now the audience members who are part of this plot, they understand what's happening. We've been trapped, we've been tricked, we've been lured into, and this is the end for us. Everything's on camera. The soldiers are outside waiting. Saddam is sitting down watching the show, and he's lighting his cigar, like a mafia boss, right? He's lighting his cigar, enjoying the show. And the list begins. Saddam then comes up after the whole plot is exposed. He comes up and he says, I'm going to read the names, and whoever's name is called out, I want you to stand up and to leave the room.
اللي راح اقرا اسمه يقوم يردد الشعار ويلحق ربعه. طاهر احمد امين، اسماعيل ابراهيم النجار، بدن فاضل، ماجد عبد الستار، سلمان داوود نجرس، وليد صالح محمد، 𝗃𝙗𝗓𝗓
I want you to stand up and to leave the room. And he says that we know there are some of you who have been working against my government, blah, 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 blah. He goes and he says the only cure for this is the sword. In other words, execution style. So he begins to read, and as he reads the names, you can hear the audience. People are screaming. People are begging for mercy. You can see at some point, some moments, people are sweating profusely, and they're wiping the sweat off their foreheads. Others are completely mortified, and the camera is zooming in on them. And the names are being read. And people are standing up. They've accepted the fate already, and they're leaving. Now, as the names continue, those who are present, who know that they were part of the plot, are getting extremely nervous. So you begin to see outbursts, frantic outbursts. People are shouting and screaming, "Long live Saddam! Long live Saddam!"
صدام فتح علي موتوا يا رجعية وابو هيثم راعي هيخطف الشعب بكره الصبحية.
ابو عدي احنا عندك، احنا ضاعت دائما، احنا جنة ضاربة، بس شو عندك؟ بس شو عندك؟
Because they're trying to prove their loyalty to him, right? It's like having a bucket full of crabs and shooting. So he begins to do this very calmly, and people are being led out of the room, right? Until all the names have been read. Then he sits down, and the entire auditorium stands up and they begin to clap. This is nervous. This is all nerves. They're clapping and they begin cheering. Wow, I kind of escaped, but the message is very clear. Saddam is in power, and you have to basically be loyal to Saddam. There is no one else you can be loyal to, because the person who read the names or who read the confession was himself part of the conspiracy. So he's put doubt in their hearts and terror in their hearts. The only person you can trust is Saddam, and your only loyalty is to Saddam. So these 66 people are then taken somewhere else. 1/3 of them are killed. 22 of them are killed by firing squad. He takes the same men who were part of the conspiracy to kill their colleagues. Yeah. And this is also a public event, spectacle. So that Purge of 79 is Saddam's entry into the political arena. And he begins to show people that this is a new day. Okay? It resembles, in a way, Hajjaj when he enters Iraq and he delivers a lecture, a chilling lecture. Except Saddam took it a level beyond that. He actually killed and executed people. But that was the beginning of full dictatorship in Iraq, but also the beginning of destabilization in that region, because the Iraq-Iran war begins, the invasion of Kuwait begins. Saddam was a CIA asset. He was a CIA asset. And they admit it. He was our man. The problem is, when he became powerful, too powerful, he decided to work against the script. He decided he could do it on his own. He decided that the oil that Iraq owned was not to be utilized by Americans or in their interests. He wanted to keep the oil of Iraq for the Iraqis. He became dangerous.
Now, probably a lot of you know that Saddam has been our boy for a very, very long time. You may remember 𝗃𝗏𝗡𝗏, who was president of Iraq in the early 60s. 𝗃𝗏 came up with a unique concept. He said, Iraqi oil ought to go to benefit the Iraqi people. How novel is that? But we didn't like that very much. He began to tax the oil companies, particularly the British and some American companies, and threatened to nationalize our oil companies. And so we decided that 𝗃𝗏 had to go. The CIA sent in an assassination team. It was headed by a man who was still going through high school, an Iraqi citizen who was still going through high school. They riddled 𝗃𝗏's car with bullets on the streets of Baghdad and missed him. The head of this assassination team was wounded and fled to Syria. His name was Saddam Hussein. He was a CIA agent in those days, an assassin for us. He failed. And so the CIA went directly, and this is all history, I'm not creating this. CIA went in and had 𝗃𝗏 publicly executed on Iraqi television. They put Saddam's cousin in charge. He became president of Iraq, and Saddam became vice president in charge of security. Eventually, as you know, he became president. He was our boy. He was our man. And so, and we sold him and gave him a lot of tanks. We built him Bechtel, built him big chemical. I don't know, my father-in-law was chief architect at Bechtel. Built Saddam big chemical plants that were used, and we knew that they were used to make mustard gas and other chemical weapons that were being employed against the Kurds and later the Iranians. We knew this, but we sold him these things. And in the 1980s, we decided that Saddam Hussein ought to accept something similar to Saudi Arabia. It was such a successful deal, because after all, what we want to do is control the Middle East and control the oil in the Middle East.
Welcome to History Yoon, the world's leading online learning platform specializing in Islamic history. To discover the History Yoon mobile app and participate in regular live and interactive seminars and tune in directly from your handset from anywhere in the world. Enjoy instant access to a growing catalog of on-demand streaming content exclusive to the platform, accessible from a variety of devices including desktops, tablets, and cell phones. Connect instantly with our global community of history enthusiasts via our private community forum. To find out more about our online history programs and resources, visit our website today at www.historyyoon.com.